The sterile beep of the MRI machine echoed like a death knell in Jack Harlan's ears as the technician's voice crackled over the intercom. "It's stage 4, Mr. Harlan, pancreatic. We caught it late." In the dim waiting room of Mount Sinai Hospital, overlooking the glittering chaos of Manhattan, Jack gripped Evan's hand so tightly his knuckles whitened, whispering, "I always thought I'd go out in a blaze, not fade like some forgotten stock ticker." But as the city lights blurred through the rain-streaked window, Jack made a vow to the man who'd loved him through 20 turbulent years. He would rewrite his ending, not with billions in boardrooms, but with the fragile promise of family he'd never dared to claim. Jack Harlan had built an empire from the cracked sidewalks of Brooklyn, turning a scrappy tech startup into Harlan Dynamics, a Silicon Valley darling that powered half the Fortune 500's algorithms. At 48, he was the gay icon Wall Street whispered about: sharp suits, sharper wit, and a penthouse in Soho that screamed old money with a modern edge. But beneath the veneer of success, Jack carried the weight of a life unlived. No kids, no legacy beyond stock options and scandals. Evan Reyes, his partner of 2 decades, was the anchor in that storm, a soft-spoken architect with warm brown eyes and a laugh that could disarm a room. They'd met at a Pride rally in '05, back when marriage equality was still a pipe dream, and built a quiet rebellion against the world that tried to box them in. The diagnosis hit like a market crash. Pancreatic cancer, aggressive and unforgiving, gave Jack 6 months, maybe 9 if the chemo held. "Fuck the odds," Jack muttered that first night home, sprawled on their leather sectional with a tumbler of bourbon. Evan knelt beside him, tracing the lines of worry etched into Jack's face. "We've beaten worse, babe. Remember the boardroom coup in 12? You stared down those suits like they were nothing." Jack chuckled, but it dissolved into a cough that rattled his chest. "This isn't a merger, Evan. This is checkmate." In the weeks that followed, Jack's world shrank to doctor visits and 4 drips, the skyline from his hospital bed a mocking reminder of freedoms he'd chased but never fully grasped. Evan was there through it all, holding his hand during scans, advocating with nurses who mistook their bond for just friends. But one evening, as the autumn leaves bled gold across Central Park, Jack's gaze lingered on a family picnicking below, 2 dads wrangling toddlers, their laughter floating up like confetti. "What if?" Jack started, voice hoarse from the latest round of treatment. Evan paused mid-bite of his apple, sensing the shift. "What if we did something real, not another foundation or gala? Kids, Evan. Our kids." Evan's fork clattered against his plate. Adoption wasn't new territory. They'd talked it in whispers during Obama's 2nd term, when the laws finally bent their way. But now, with Jack's clock ticking, "You're serious," Evan said. "Not a question." Jack nodded, fire sparking in his dimming eyes. 4 of them. Girls who've been bounced around like yesterday's news. I want to give them what I never had, a home that fights for them. The idea ignited something primal in Evan, a fierce protectiveness that mirrored the blueprints he sketched for resilient buildings. They dove in headfirst, lawyers on speed dial, social workers charmed by Jack's charisma and Evan's quiet resolve. New York City's foster system was a labyrinth of heartbreak, kids warehoused in underfunded group homes, dreams deferred by bureaucracy. Jack's money greased the wheels, but it was their story that sealed it. 2 men building a family against the Reaper's shadow. First came Mia, 13, with braids like twisted rivers and eyes that had seen too many foster flips. She'd been yanked from her mom's arms after a meth-fueled meltdown in the Bronx, landing in a home where rules were fists and love was rationed. Jack met her in a fluorescent-lit visitation room, her arms crossed like armor. "Why me?" she spat, sizing him up. "You some rich perv looking for a tax write-off?" Jack leaned forward, unflinching. "Nah, kid. I'm dying. Figured I'd spend my last chips on someone who needs more than Wall Street." Mia didn't laugh, but her shoulders eased a fraction. Evan, ever the steady one, pulled out a sketchpad, blueprints of their Soho loft reimagined as a girl's haven. Bunk beds with city views, a kitchen island for midnight baking. "This is yours if you want it," he said softly. By week's end, Mia was theirs, her duffel bag thumping against the elevator walls as they rode up to the life she'd never imagined. Lila arrived next, a whirlwind of 10-year-old energy with freckles like constellations and a stutter that bloomed under stress. Abandoned at a Queens bus stop by a dad chasing lottery dreams, she'd bounced through 6 homes. Her drawings, wild scribbles of families that never stuck, clutched like talismans. Jack spotted her file first, the one with the crayon-scrawled note, "Please keep me." During their meet, she fidgeted with Evan's tie, whispering, "Why you're gay? Like a rainbow gay?" Evan grinned, tying a loose thread into a bow. "Proudly. Means we know what it's like to fight for a spot at the table." Jack watched from the sidelines, chemo fog lifting just enough to see the poetry in it. Mia hovering protectively, already slipping into big sister mode. Lila's adoption hearing was a blur of paperwork and tears. She hugged Jack so tight his port ached, murmuring, "ID drew us a fort." In the stars. That night, in their sprawling living room overlooking the Hudson, Jack tucked her in on the couch fort they'd built from throw pillows, Evan's voice reading Shel Silverstein until her eyelids fluttered shut. Word spread in adoption circles like wildfire, Harlan's last hurrah, a millionaire's folly. Enter Sophia, 11, a firecracker from Harlem with a poet's soul and scars from a gang-torn block. Her mom overdosed in a shelter. Dad was a ghost. Sophia's file screamed defiance. Expelled for mouthing off to a teacher who called her trouble. Jack loved her on sight. Her chin tilted like she owned the room. "Heard you're the guy with the death wish," she said at coffee hour, sipping hot chocolate like it was whiskey. "Adopting strays when you can't even walk straight?" Evan stifled a laugh. Jack raised his glass. "Guilty. But strays make the best packs." Sophia tested them, sneaking out to tag walls with verses about lost boys and iron hearts. But Jack saw himself in her rage, the kid from Brooklyn who'd clawed his way up. One rainy afternoon, as thunder rattled the windows, she cornered him in the study. "Why us? You could buy perfect kids." Jack, gaunt but grinning, pulled her onto the leather armchair. "Perfect's boring. Soft. You 4? You're my masterpiece." By Thanksgiving, the loft hummed with chaos. 4 girls now, the last being little Nora, 7, with curls like wild vines and a laugh that chased shadows. Found wandering Chicago streets after her aunt's eviction, Nora was the quiet storm, her silence a shield against the world's indifference. The social worker warned of attachment issues, but Evan scooped her up during the home visit, spinning her until giggles erupted like fireworks. "This is home. Mija," he said in the Spanish his abuela taught him. Jack, watching from his armchair throne, felt his heart swell against the tumor's grip. "All in," he whispered to Evan later, their fingers laced under the dinner table as turkey carved and stories spilled. The first months were a symphony of stumbles. Mia's nightmares waking the house at 3 a.m., Lila's stutter flaring during school plays, Sophia's poetry slams turning into fistfights, Nora's selective mutism cracking only in Evan's lap. Jack, tethered to his recliner by fatigue, orchestrated it all with calls to therapists and tutors, his billions buying time but not tied. Evenings blurred into rituals, family meetings around the island, where grudges aired like laundry and dreams were sketched on napkins. Evan anchored the ship, his designs evolving from buildings to bunkers of emotional safety. Yet cracks spiderwebbed beneath the surface. Jack's sister, Margaret, a Park Avenue viper who'd always sneered at his lifestyle, circled like a shark. "You're poisoning those girls with your choices," she hissed over brunch, her Botox smile a rictus. Jack waved her off, but the words lodged like shrapnel. And Evan? He buried his fear in blueprints. But Jack caught the hollows under his eyes, the way he'd linger in the doorway at dawn, watching Jack sleep as if memorizing a blueprint of loss. As winter gripped the city in ice, Jack's body betrayed him faster, hair thinning, steps faltering. But the girls, they bloomed, fierce and unfiltered, weaving themselves into the fabric of his fading days. Mia tutored Lila in algebra, Sophia penned verses for Nora's bedtime, and in those stolen moments, Jack glimpsed eternity, not in algorithms or assets, but in the echo of their voices calling him Dad. Spring thawed Manhattan's bones, but Jack's resolve hardened like the cherry blossoms stubborn against frost. The loft, once a minimalist shrine to his solo empire, now overflowed with evidence of life. Dolls strewn across Persian rugs, half-finished canvases leaning against floor-to-ceiling windows, the air thick with the scent of Sophia's lavender candles and Nora's finger paints. Jack's treatments shifted to palliative, pills that dulled the edges but sharpened his hunger for more time. "We're not done yet," he'd growl to Evan during their midnight confessions, bodies tangled in sheets worn soft by years of solace. Evan, ever the builder, fortified their world. He redesigned the rooftop terrace into a sanctuary, hammocks strung between potted magnolias, a fire pit for storytelling under the stars. There, on balmy evenings, the family gathered, Jack propped on cushions, the girls cross-legged in a semicircle, their faces lit by flames that danced like secrets. Mia, now 14 and sprouting opinions like weeds, led the charge. "Dad Jack, tell us about the time you hacked that bank system." Jack's eyes twinkled, voice a gravelly rumble. "Wasn't hacking, kiddo. Persuasion. Slipped in like a ghost at a gala." Laughter rippled, but Evan caught the undercurrent, the girls' wide eyes masking the math they did in their heads. 6 months had shrunk to 4, whispers of what if haunted the hallways. Sophia, sharp as a switchblade, confronted it head-on one night, her notebook clutched like armor. "You're leaving us, aren't you? Like everyone else." The fire popped, silence stretching taut. Jack reached for her hand, his grip feeble but fierce. "Not by choice, soft. But Evan's staying. And you 4? You're the roots now. Can't uproot a Harlan tree." Evan's throat tightened. He'd bartered with fate in silent prayers, offering deals to gods he half believed in. Their love, forged in the fires of 90s AIDS crises and Don't Ask, Don't Tell, was unbreakable, but mortality chipped at its edges. In stolen mornings, while the girls slept, Evan traced the map of Jack's veins, murmuring, "We could have had this sooner. A house in the Hamptons, kids from day one." Jack cupped his face, thumb brushing stubble. Timing's bullshit. This is our now messy, magnificent. The adoption bonds deepened through trials that tested their patchwork family. Lila's stutter worsened with middle school bullies. Their taunts. Stutter girls got two dads? Freak show. Echoing the slurs Jack had endured in boardrooms. He wheeled himself to the principal's office, gaunt frame belying the titan within. My daughter's voice is gold. You let those kids tarnish it again, and I'll buy this district out from under you. The threat landed. Lila's speech therapist praised her progress. Her first unhalting poem recited at dinner. Words are birds, trapped in my throat, but home sets them free. Nora, the enigma, unraveled slowly. Her mutism shattered during a Central Park outing, when a street performer's puppet show mimicked loss, a marionette dad waving goodbye. Tears streamed as she buried her face in Evan's jacket, words tumbling out in a rush. Don't go away. Please. Evan held her through the sobs, Jack's hand on her back a steady drum. That breakthrough unlocked floods. Mia braiding her hair while Sophia whispered rhymes, a chorus of solidarity that mended fractures Jack couldn't see. But shadows loomed larger than spring light. Margaret escalated her crusade, filing motions to contest the adoptions. Unfit guardian. Her lawyer sneered in family court, citing Jack's degenerative condition and alternative lifestyle. The gallery buzzed with reporters. Headlines screaming, tech mogul's deathbed gambit, charity or chaos? Evan testified first, voice steady as rebar. Jack's not dying to these girls, he's living for them. We've got wills, trusts, a life mapped out. Jack followed, oxygen mask dangling like a noose. Blood doesn't make family. Love does. And mine's ironclad. The judge, a silver-haired woman with eyes like weathered oak, ruled in their favor, but the toll carved deeper. Jack collapsed post-hearing, rushed to the ER as Mia clutched Evan's sleeve in the waiting room. Is he? She whispered. Evan pulled her close, the scent of her strawberry shampoo a lifeline. He's fighting, Mija. Like always. Hours later, Jack emerged, fresh and furious. That which won't stop me from leaving something real. Summer scorched the city, humidity clinging like regret. Jack's energy waned, days blending into a haze of naps and Netflix marathons, the girls introducing him to animated worlds where heroes didn't fade. Sophia's poetry slams became a ritual, her verses raw anthems of survival. We are the daughters of a dying king, crowned in code and courage. Mia interned at Harlan Dynamics, her tech-savvy fingers debugging code Jack once wrote, pride swelling in his chest like forbidden champagne. Evan's designs poured into the home, secret compartments in the girls' rooms for journals and dreams, a hidden alcove off the master where he and Jack could steal kisses uninterrupted. Their intimacy, always a quiet fire, burned brighter now. Slow dances in the kitchen to Coltrane, Evan's hands mapping the landscape of Jack's changing body. You're beautiful. Evan breathed one dawn, light slanting through blinds like gold bars. Jack arched into him, vulnerable and vital. Only 'cause you see me whole, yet betrayal brewed in the family veins. Margaret's latest ploy arrived via courier. A letter from Jack's estranged nephew, Tyler, sniffing at the estate like a fox in the henhouse. Uncle Jack, family first. Those girls? They're placeholders. Let me handle the legacy. Jack crumpled it, veins bulging. Legacy? That kid's never lifted a finger beyond his trust fund. Evan urged caution, but Jack's temper flared, a rare fracture in their unity. He's poison. Like her. They'll carve us up post-mortem. The girls sensed the storm, clustering closer. Lila baked apology cookies, lopsided hearts dusted with sugar, while Nora drew family portraits, Jack haloed in stars. Sophia penned a letter to Margaret, mailed without permission. Auntie, Dad, Jack taught us blood's optional. Heart's mandatory. Back off. It leaked to the press, turning their saga into tabloid gold. Orphan heiresses defend gay dads. As August wilted into September, Jack's pain sharpened, morphine a veil between him and the world. He gathered them on the terrace one twilight, the skyline a jagged crown. Listen up, crew. Life's a glitchy code, bugs and all. But you're the patch. Tears glistened, but they nodded, fists bumping in solidarity. Evan watched, heart of ice, knowing the code was unraveling. Fall's chill whispered endings, leaves carpeting the park like fallen soldiers. Jack's breaths grew shallow, but his stories lengthened, tales of Brooklyn hustles, pride marches, the night he proposed to Evan under the Brooklyn Bridge with a ring forged from scrap metal. The girls absorbed it, weaving their own threads. Mia's app for foster kids, Lila's spoken word club, Sophia's chapbook, Nora's puppet theater. In quiet hours, Jack and Evan confronted the abyss. If I go first, Jack rasped, promise you'll let them in. All the way, Evan nodded, tears salting his resolve. And you promise to haunt me, keep me honest. Their lips met, a seal against the dark, love's quiet roar drowning the city's hum. But Margaret's shadow lengthened, her lawyers circling for a final strike. Whispers of appeals, custody challenges, threats that clawed at their fragile peace. Jack, bedridden now, plotted countermeasures with his attorney, voice a whip. Bury them in paper. My girls stay mine. Evan mediated, bridging fury and fragility, but the strain etched lines on his face, a map of unspoken grief. One crisp October eve, as pumpkins glowed on stoops, the girls staged an intervention, potato print cards spelling, "We got you." Jack wept then, first time in decades, pulling them into a heap of limbs and love. My miracles, he choked. Evan joined, the six of them a fortress against the fraying world, bonds forged in fire and fear. Yet as November's gray descended, Jack's light flickered. Hospital stays blurred homecomings, the loft a revolving door of hope and hospice. Evan juggled it all, work calls, school runs, Jack's hand in his during the endless nights. We're unbreakable, Jack murmured, eyes glassy. But Evan wondered, as monitors beeped like countdowns, if love could rewrite the script. Thanksgiving dawned brittle, the air sharp with frost and unspoken farewells. The loft kitchen steamed with chaos, Evan basting the turkey while Mia mashed potatoes, her phone buzzing with college scouts impressed by her coding chops. Lila orchestrated the table, stutter vanished in the frenzy. Pass the gravy, stat. Sophia and Nora tag-teamed pie crusts, flour dusting their cheeks like war paint. Jack, frail in his cashmere robe, presided from the head, oxygen tank a silent sentinel. To us, he toasted with ginger ale, glass trembling but voice steady. The Harlans, queer, quirky, and kicking ass. Laughter masked the lump in Evan's throat. Margaret's latest salvo had arrived at dawn, a petition to declare Jack incompetent, Tyler's name scrawled as concerned heir. The betrayal stung deepest from kin, Echoes of Jack's youth when his father disowned him over a leaked kiss at prom. "They're vultures," Jack snarled later, alone with Evan in the study. Picking at scraps before the body's cold. Evan rubbed his shoulders. Knots like knotted code. "We'll fight. But pace yourself, love." For them. The holiday haze shattered mid-feast. A courier pounded the door. Summons in hand. Emergency hearing. Margaret alleging endangerment. The girls froze. Forks hovering. Nora whimpered. Pie forgotten. Mia bolted up. Eyes blazing. "Let me talk to the judge." "I'm not some pity project." Sophia nodded. Fists clenched. "We've got poems that cut deeper than her lies." Jack silenced them with a raised hand. Pride warring with pain. "Easy, warriors. This is grown folk glitch." Evans got the fix. Court convened in a week. A coliseum of legalese under fluorescent glare. Jack testified from a wheelchair. Gaunt but defiant. "These girls aren't assets. They're my heart." Evan followed. Blueprints unrolled like evidence. Renovations symbolizing commitment. "We've built more than walls. A life." The girls, allowed to speak, stole the show. Lila's clear recital of family vows. Sophia's verse on chosen blood. Nora's whispered "Daddy Jack stays." Mia's data dump on their thriving grades. Even the judge cracked a smile. Margaret's cross-examination was venom. "Your arrangement is unstable. What happens when Mr. Harlan's gone?" Tyler smirked from the gallery, gold watch glinting like greed. But the tide turned. Witnesses from Harlan Dynamics vouched for Jack's genius. Therapists for the girl's glow. Verdict. Dismissals. With warnings. Jack wheeled out triumphant. But collapse followed in the lobby. Paramedics swarming as Evan barked orders. Girls clustered like shields. ICU became their second home. Beeps a grim lullaby. Jack rallied enough for discharge. But the cancer's jaws tightened. Nights of delirium where he called for ghosts. His Brooklyn ma. Evan's abuela. Lovers lost to plagues past. Evan anchored him. Cool cloths and crooned lullabies. While the girls rotated vigils. Mia reading tech mags. Lila sketching comics. Sophia reciting Neruda. Nora humming folk tunes. "You're our North Star." Mia confessed one midnight. Jack's hand limp in hers. "Don't fade out." Evan's world narrowed to caretaking. His firm on autopilot. Designs doodled on napkins between feedings. Their intimacy shifted to whispers. Evan's head on Jack's chest. Heartbeat a fading Morse. "Remember our road trip? Route 66. 08. Jack murmured. Fingers in Evan's hair. Vegas wedding. Fake IDs and fireworks. Evan smiled through tears. "Best scam ever. I'd do it again. In a heartbeat." Love's language. Paired to essentials. Wove them tighter against the unraveling. December blanketed the city in white. Holidays a double-edged blade. The girls decked the loft. Tinsel tangled with fairy lights. A tree topped by Nora's star puppet. Jack, dosed on endorphins, joined the frenzy, his laugh rusty but real. Presents piled. Mia's VR headset for simulations. Lila's poetry anthology. Sophia's leather-bound journal. Nora's marionette kit. For Evan, Jack slipped a velvet box under the tree. A cufflink engraved, "Builder of Dreams," sourced from his sickbed. Christmas Eve. Snow swirling like confetti. They gathered by the fire. Jack's voice, thin as vellum, spun yarns of Christmases queer and clandestine. underground parties in warehouses, drag queens as Santas. The girls leaned in, cocoa mugs steaming, their faces a gallery of wonder and woe. What's after? Lila ventured, brave in the glow. Jack paused, eyes on Evan. After's up to you, Sprout. Make it epic. Midnight Mass at St. Patrick's called. Evan's nod to his Catholic roots. Jack's rye concession. Bundled against the cold, they filed into pews, candles flickering on stone. Nora clutched Jack's sleeve, whispering prayers in Spanglish. Sophia smirked at the incense, penning haikus on bulletins. In the hush of carols, Evan's hand found Jack's, a vow renewed amid angels and architecture. Till the stars burn out, Evan breathed. Jack squeezed back. Beyond, New Year's loomed, a mocking milestone. Jack's decline accelerated bedsores, fevers, visions that blurred friend from foe. Hospice nurses came daily, their kindness a balm. Evan orchestrated the eve with grit. Countdown on the terrace. City fireworks a defiant burst. The girls cheered, but Mia pulled Evan aside mid-chorus. He's slipping. We see it. Evan's nod was wooden. He knows. But we're his oxygen now. Betrayal's aftershocks rippled. Tyler cornered Evan at a bodega run, breath sour with scotch. Uncle's delirious. Sign over the shares, for the girl's sake. Evan shoved past, fury leashed. Touch them, and you're done. Back home, he confessed to Jack, who chuckled through pain. Knew he'd slither. Change the locks, on the will too. Amendments flew, trusts for each girl. Evan as guardian. Foundations seeded with their passions. Tech for Mia, arts for the rest. January's jaw clamped tighter, blizzards sealing them in. Jack's lucidity waned, days a carousel of meds and memories. The girls adapted with heartbreaking grace. Mia homeschooling via Zoom, Lila leading art therapy Zooms, Sophia's online slams drawing crowds, Nora's puppet shows for neighborhood kids. Evan marveled, pride a shield against despair. There you, he told Jack one gray afternoon, spooning broth. Fighters. A brief rally came mid-month, Jack ambulatory for a park stroll, bundled like Michelin Man. They fed ducks stale bread, laughter echoing off frozen ponds. Best investment ever, Jack quipped, arm looped in Evans. Sophia snapped Polaroids, capturing the quintet against bare branches, a portrait of perseverance. But exertion exacted toll. By dusk, he was bedbound again, rasping apologies. Don't, Evan cut in, kissing his forehead. This is gold. Valentine's whispered romance amid ruin. Evan strung hearts from Lila's cutouts, the girls baking lopsided cakes. Jack, eyes brightening, pen notes. To Evan, my forever blueprint. To Mia, code the world kinder. Lila, speak your symphony. Sophia, poet of our chaos. Nora, pull strings to joy, reading them aloud. Voices cracking, they wept and hooped. Love a defiant feast. As February bled into March, the endgame sharpened. Scans confirmed spread lungs now, a thief in the night. Jack called a summit, propped in bed like a general. No pity parties. When I go, celebrate, Blair Springsteen, dance on my grave. The girls nodded, tears carving rivers, but Evan saw the steel, promises forged in farewell. Margaret's final gambit landed. A smear campaign in the Post? Dying tycoon's folly? Grooming heirs? Public backlash surged. Supporters flooding their inbox with tales of found families. Jack, too weak to rage, delegated to Mia. Hack back, kid. Truth serum. Her viral thread dismantled the lies. Harlan Hart trending nationwide. Evan's nights fractured. Sleep snatched in chairs. Dreams of Jack Hole and Hale. Their last real touch came in a fevered haze. Jack's fingers in Evan's, murmuring, "Love you beyond bits and bytes." Evan clung, bargaining with Dawn. But the girl's resilience buoyed him. Sophia's verse, "Death's a draft. We redraw the lines." April's renewal mocked them, tulips mocking the monitor's wail. Jack slipped into coma, the loft a vigil of whispers and wonders. The girls rotated, stories their sentinels. Evan held vigil eternal, love's watchman against the tide. The coma that was Jack Harlan stretched into weeks, his body a battlefield where we'll ward with weariness. The loft transformed into a cocoon of care, medical beds humming in the sunroom, windows flung wide to spring's insistent song. Evan became maestro of mercy, coordinating shifts with a tenderness that belied his exhaustion. Mia, now the de facto eldest, handled logistics, grocery runs, school portals, even fielding press calls with a poise that echoed Jack's boardroom bluster. No comment, except we're unbreakable, she'd snap, slamming the receiver. Lila found solace in creation, her stutter silenced by the canvas. Murals blooming on walls, portraits of Jack as caped crusader, Evan as steadfast knight, the girls as his legion. Sophia channeled grief into galleys. Her chapbook, final edits, self-published via Mia's hacks, verses like arrows. He typed our names into forever, cursor blinking hope. Nora's puppets enacted epics, sock heroes battling shadow beasts, performances that drew neighbors, turning sorrow communal. Evan watched it unfold, a mosaic of Jack's legacy in miniature. Their love, once a private sonnet, now public elegy. Well-wishers sent cards, pride flags from strangers. But intimacy's embers glowed private. Evan slipping into Jack's room at dawn, reading aloud from their dog-eared Gatsby. So we beat on, boats against the current. Jack's eyelids fluttered once, a ghost of response, enough to crack Evan's armor. Tyler's treachery peaked in absurdity, a midnight visit, pounding doors with sob stories. Family reconciliation, he slurred, reeking of entitlement. Evan met him in the foyer, voice ice. Gates coded. You're deleted, Mia. Overhearing. Live streamed the eviction. Vulture nephew going viral. Tyler's face a mask of mortification. Margaret retreated, her empire of envy crumbling under public scorn. Victory tasted ashen, though hollow without Jack's rye toast. May unfurled petals and pain. Mother's Day a gut punch renamed Caretaker Day by Sophia's decree. They honored Evan with brunch, burnt pancakes and bad mimosas, his tears salting the syrup. You birthed us too, Lila said, hugging fierce. That night, Jack stirred. A rasp. Ev. Girls. His first words in fortnight. The room erupted. Monitors spiked as they clustered. Voices a babble of pleas and praises. Dad. We're here, Mia urged. He smiled faintly, eyes locking on Evan. Proud. Fix the world. Then silence reclaimed him, but hope's ember kindled. Evan seized it, pushing for experimental trials, Jack's billions funding a last-ditch protocol at Sloan Kettering. Transfers blurred days. The girls camped in waiting lounges, laptops glowing with solidarity streams. Sophia's poetry readings drew donors. Mia's petition hit 1 million signatures. Jack endured infusions, body rebelling but spirit sparking. Brief lucidity yielding laughs. A croaked, "Missed my own funeral prep?" June's solstice brought fragile bloom. Discharged. Jack homebound but humming. The family scripted summer of U.S. Rooftop picnics, Broadway matinees, wheelchair-accessible rushes, Coney Island spins where Nora screamed delight. Jack dosed on miracles, danced slow with Evan under string lights, girls whooping chorus. "This is the patch," he quipped, breath labored but light. Love's rhythm, offbeat yet orchestral, pulsed through them. But summer's idol cracked under July's heat. Fevers returned. Ravenous, Jack's weight plummeted, bones sharp as regrets. The girls masked fear with fervor. Mia's internship at a queer youth NGO. Lila's school play triumph, her soliloquy stutter-free. Sophia's chapbook launch, dedicated to the editor who erased himself. Nora's puppet camp counselor gig. Evan praised, but solitude shattered him. Nights pacing balconies, fists clenched against fate's theft. August whispered warnings, humidity a shroud. Jack's rally waned. Hospice reconvened, conversations turning to comfort measures. He gathered them one sweltering eve, voice a thread. No loose ends. Mia, lead with logic, but listen to heart. Lila, your words are weapons, wield kind. Sophia, burn bright, never dim. Nora, play the strings, pull us up. To Evan, hold them. Hold you. That's the code. Tears flowed, but nods were iron, promises etched in the humid air. Betrayal's ghost lingered. Tyler's cease and desist for defamation. Dismissed in a hearing Jack watched via stream, his chuckle a victory bell. Margaret's apology arrived handwritten. Brittle. Forgive an old fool. Jack burned it unread. Ashes scattered from the terrace. Some glitches can't patch. September schooled them in surrender. School resumed hybrid. Girls commuting with purpose. Evan balanced blueprints and bedside. His firm's queer-inclusive wing dedicated Harlan Haven. Jack's decline dictated days, pain peaks, lucid valleys where stories flowed. His first love, a sailor lost to waves. Evan's abuela's tamales, spice of survival. The girls transcribed, oral history unfolding. October's palette turned poignant, leaves like love letters falling. Jack's breaths shallowed, but gatherings glowed, pumpkin carving marathons. Haunted hayrides where fears were voiced and vanquished. One crisp night, under harvest moon, he rallied for a family vow. Hands stacked, eyes locked. We're the glitch that fixed the system. Evan sealed it, kissed to knuckles, heart hammering. November's chill chased warmth. Thanksgiving scaled down to soup and stories. Jack, bed to table on a gurney, carved the bird with a shaky blade. Grateful, he intoned, gaze sweeping his tribe. Laughter laced the lump. Post-meal, they wheeled him to the window, skyline a fireworks vow. Evan lingered after lights out, bodies aligned in quiet communion. If there's more, Jack murmured. Wait for me there. Evan choked. Always. December's grip tightened. Holiday's heroic efforts. The tree twinkled defiant. Gifts wrapped in whispers. Christmas morn. Jack unwrapped presents. a family album, pages thick with their year. My wealth, he breathed, flipping to candids. Eve's mass echoed last year's hush, but fuller Nora's soprano solo piercing hearts. New Year's countdown, terrace aglow, they toasted with tears. To edits ahead, January 2026 dawn dire. Snow muffling monitors. Jack's coma recurred. Deeper. The girls' vigils intensified. Rotations wrote. Evan read rounds, Hemingway, Hughes, their love letters. Mia coded an app for grief chat, beta tested in hushed tones. Sophia's second book deal landed. Advance for family fortification. Lila's theater scholarship gleamed. Nora's puppets toured schools, teaching resilience. February's frost bit, but breakthroughs bloomed. Mia's app viral. Funding foster reforms. Lila's off-Broadway callback. Evan marveled. Jack's influence fractal. Valentine's cards piled. Evan's a simple, eternal draft. Jack's eyes cracked open once, mouthing love, before tides pulled. March marched merciless. Spring a tease. Jack stabilized briefly, enough for terrace tea tulips nodding approval. Almost scripted the sequel, he joked weakly. The family laughed, but Evan saw the script's end. April's showers wept for them, rain lashing windows. Jack's final rally, a whispered conference. Promise me, live loud. Queer, kind, unbreakable. The girls' chorus dissent. Fists to hearts. Evan vowed silent, soul seared. May bloomed betrayal free. Margaret's donation to their foundation a white flag. Jack lingered, comma defiant. Summer teased, but the tide turned inexorable. June's sun mocked the shadows lengthening in the loft, where Jack's room had become a sanctuary of sighs and soft light. The city pulsed on. Pride floats thumping bass blocks away, but inside, time ticked to its own dirge. Evan, hollow-cheeked but unbowed, orchestrated the symphony of survival. Morphine drips calibrated like code. Girls' schedules synced to heartbeats. Mia, 15 now and fierce as firmware, dropped her internship for full-time advocacy, lobbying Albany for adoption reforms with Jack's name as banner. He debugged us, she'd tell Suits. I steal. Now we run the program. Lila's art bloomed viral. Instagram murals of found fathers. Hashtag stitching strangers into support. Sophia's poetry tours sold out cafes. Her cadence a catharsis. He was the delete key to our doubts. Backspace to bullshit. Nora, Aiden Sage, led puppet therapy for foster peers. Her show's scripts of What If We Stayed? Evan absorbed it. Pride a poultice on his panic. But nights alone carved canyons. Sobs stifled in pillows. Jack's side of the bed a cold echo. A miracle flickered mid-month. Jack surfaced. Voice vapor. Pride. Go. Evan balked. But the girls plotted parade viewing from the penthouse. Rainbow banners draping rails. As marchers surged below, drag divas. Dads with strollers. Lovers linked. Jack watched from his gurney. Wheeled to the glass. That's us, he rasped. Hand in Evan's. The parade we started. Cheers erupted from the street. Spotting their vigil. A chant rose. Harlon! Harlon! Tears streamed. Collective catharsis under confetti skies. July's heat wave wilted wills. Jack's fevers spiking like stocks in crash. Hospice angels rotated. Their compassion a chorus. Evan bartered sleep for stories. Taping Jack's ramblings, Brooklyn brawls, boardroom blitzes. The night Evan said yes under bridge lights. The girls edited the archive. Mia digitizing, Lila illustrating, Sophia versing, Nora voicing. Legacy 2.0, they dubbed it, a digital time capsule seated across clouds. Tyler's shadow slunk once more. A contrite email. Let me make amends. Evan forwarded to lawyers. Response curt. Amends via wire to the foundation. Silence followed. Greed gagged. Margaret visited unannounced. Pearls clutched like penance. I was wrong, she whispered at bedside. Voice veneer cracked. Jack. Lucid flicker. Waved feeble. Prove it. Fund the girls' futures. She nodded. Check written on the spot. 7 figures for scholarships. Exit. Humbled. August's dog days dragged. But diversions danced. Beach day at Rockaway. Jack ferried in style. Waves lapping like applause. He buried toes in sand. Girls building castles crowned with shells. Empires, he murmured. Evan's arm his crutch. Sophia snapped the scene. Caption. Sandcastles outlast skyscrapers. Evenings cooled with ice cream rituals. Flavors voted like elections. Rocky road for resilience. September schooled in subtlety. Jack's dips deeper. Rallies rarer. The girls' orbits widened. Mia's TEDx talk on coding kinship. Views exploding. Lila's gallery show. Voices visible. Critics raving. Sophia's book tour hit bestsellers. Nora's puppet troupe booked Lincoln Center Youth Fest. Evan beamed. But burden bowed him. Firm partners urging leave. He waved off. This is my blueprint. October's blaze of color-cloaked decline. Foliage a fiery farewell. Jack mustered for Pumpkin Fest. Carving jack-o'-lanterns with grin gone ghostly. Grim Reapers got nothing on us, he quipped. Knife slipping. Nora's howl of laughter pierced. The loot bag home. Treats traded for truths. Fears voiced. Futures sketched. Sophia's Halloween slam. Ghosts are just drafts. We publish the living. November's bareness stripped illusions. Thanksgiving a table of thanks laced with ache. Jack. Propped regal. Led grace. For glitches that gifted us. Turkey carved symbolic. Each slice a story. Post-feast. Terrace tales under stars. Jack's voice fading thread. Editor's cut looming, he joked, but eyes held oceans. December dusted dreams. Holidays heroic. Tree trimming turned teary. Ornaments etched with year of the fight. Gifts pragmatic, journals for journeys ahead. Christmas Eve. Carolers at door. Jack joining frail soprano. Masses candles kindled kin. New Year's. Fireworks framed his face. Countdown a collective breath. January iced isolation. Blizzards blanketing escape. Jack's silence deepened. But breakthroughs beckoned. Mia's bill passing foster aid boost. Lila's mural commissioned for MoMA. Evan read rounds relentless. Voice velvet over valor. February's Valentines vowed vitality. Cards cascading. Jack's murmur. Hearts hack the hurt. Girls' gestures grand. Brunch serenade. Evan's tears tonic. March's thaw tease transition. Tulips triumphant. Jack stirred sporadic. Smiles sunbreaks. Spring edit, he winked. April showered silver linings. Rain renewal. Family fortified, therapy circles. Trust talks. Jack's clarity crested. Proud. Promise kept. May's maypole spun memories. Dances defiant. Jack watched wheeled. Whoops his wind. June looped back. Pride's pulse pounding. Jack gone quiet, but legacy loud. Girls marching in his name. Evan arm in arm. Banners blazing, Harlan forever. July's zenith zapped energy. Heat haze hiding hurt. Monitors marched dirge. But love's light lingered. Evan's vigil. Girls glow. August's end announced arrival. Sunsets somber. Jack's breaths bird-like. Family feathered close. September's symphony softened. Leaves lament. One eve. Eyes open eternal. Enough. Now. October's hush heralded homecoming. Winds whispering welcome. Bedside babble. Bonds unbreakable. November's nude branches nodded knowing. Thanksgiving's tender. December's drifts dreamed departure. Light's last laugh. January's frost-framed finale. Vows voiced. February's fire flickered farewell. March's bloom bowed beautiful. April's azure accepted. May's murmur, go. June's joy release. The vigil peaked solstice night. Stars sentinel. Jack's hand slackened in Evan's. Breath butterfly winged away. Silence shattered sobs. Then solace, hugs heaping. Hearts healing. He fixed us, Mia murmured. Evan nodded. Dawn's light legacies launch. Funeral fused family. Patrick's pact. Queer choir. Girls' eulogies. Mia's code crash metaphor. Lila's painted procession. Sophia's sonnet salvo. Nora's puppet procession. Evan's words. He built us, now we build on. Burial Brooklyn. Roots returned. Graveside gala. Springsteen blaring. Dances defiant. Toasts to glitches. Graves grass-kissed. Evan anchored aftermath. Loft echoing empty but full echoes eternal. Girls grieved growing. Mia's manifesto. Lila's lines. Sophia's tomes. Nora's narratives. Evan evolved. Designs dedicated Harlan homes. Havens for hearts. But promise pulsed. Jack's parting plea. Their pact profound. July's aftermath annealed the Harlan hearth. The loft a loom weaving widowhood's warp. Evan Reyes, 47 and forged anew, navigated the nebula of normalcy. Bills buffered by Jack's billions, but voids vast as vaults. The girls, his galaxies, orbited closer. Mia, 16 and strategist, quarterbacked the household with apps and agendas. Her nights coding Jack's legacy. An AI curator of his stories. Voice synthesized from tapes. Dispensing dad wisdom to users worldwide. He debugged despair. She'd explain to donors. Eyes alight with inherited fire. Lila, 11, channeled chaos into clarity. Her art therapy practice budding. Murals in shelters. Colors combating isolation. Dad Jack said create to cope. She'd tell wide-eyed wards. Brushes bold as his banter. Sophia, 12, stormed stages. Her third chapbook, Postscript promises a bestseller. Royalties routing to queer youth funds. Verses visceral. He hyphenated our hurts into wholes. Nora, 9, puppeteered passions. Her troupe touring. Strings symbolizing tugs that tie us. Evan's architecture absorbed absence. Firm flourishing with evanescence projects. Sustainable spaces for foster families. Blueprints breathing Jack's ethos. Resilient, radiant, rooted. Mornings, he'd sip coffee on the terrace. Skyline sentinel, murmuring to ghosts. Miss your mess, babe. Pride lingered in his pocket. A rainbow keychain from that last parade. Talisman against tides. Tyler's taint tarnished no more. Disowned by Margaret's will, rewritten post-apology. He faded to footnotes, a cautionary column in tabloids. Margaret, mellowed by loss, mentored marginally, monthly teas with the girls, tales of Jack's toddler tantrums tempering her tartness. He got his steal from me, she'd concede, cookies crumbling like defenses. August annealed alliances, the family fleeing to the Hamptons, Jack's bequest. A beach house bought in lucid lunacy. Waves washed wounds. Bonfires birthed belly laughs. Mia's surf fails. Lila's sand sculptures. Sophia's seaside sonnets. Nora's nautical puppets. Evan sketched expansions, a community center annex. Harlan horizons. Horizons for hidden hearts. Evenings. Stargazing summoned spirits. He's up there, hacking constellations, Sophia quipped, Evan's chuckle cathartic. September schooled in strides, schools sinking with souls, Mia's hackathon win. National news, orphan turned oracle, Lila's exhibit at the Whitney Youth Wing, critics cooing voice of the voiceless, Sophia's spoken word festival headliner, crowds chanting choruses. Nora's Emmy nod for Kids Special. Puppets profound. Evan attended all. Applause his anthem. Pride patching solitude. October's ochre offered origins. A Brooklyn pilgrimage, Jack's boyhood block. Now gentrified ghosts. They traced stoops. Supped on knishes. Nora quizzing. Did he climb that fire escape for kisses? Evan grinned. Gaps genuine. Climbed for dreams. Mija. Graffiti tours yielded tags. Jack Harlan, queer king. Sophia adding verse in chalk. November's nuances nurtured. Thanksgiving transformed. Table talk of thank yous to trials. Turkey symbolic of tenacity. Evan carved. Knife steady. To the feast we fought for. Post-pie. Projections. Mia's MIT admit. Lila's Paris art immersion. Sophia's Iowa MFA deferral for tours. Nora's Broadway puppet plunge. Dreams deferred no more. December dusted delight. Holidays homage. Tree topped with Jack's cufflink. Ornaments oracles of yesteryears. Gifts growth geared. Mia's drone for aerial designs. Lila's palette of pigments. Sophia's typewriter relic. Nora's marionette masterclass. Christmas concert at Lincoln Center. Evan's firm sponsoring. New Year's. Terrace transcendent. Countdown confetti carrying forward. January's journal jump-started justice. Evan's testimony tipping scales on foster bills. Jack's foundation fueling floods of funds. Girls glowed. Mia interning at the White House Tech Task Force. Whispers of future senator. Lila's collab with queer artists. Murals mapping metropolises. Sophia's TED Talk. Poetry as protest. Views vaulting virality. Nora's Netflix special. Strings of Strength. February's fervor flowered. Valentine's a village. Evan dating tentatively. A widower waltz with a gallery curator. Girls vetting with vigor. Does he get the glitch? Approval ample. But Evan's heart hedged. Jack's echo eternal. March's manifesto mobilized. The family founding Glitch Guardians. Non-profit netting nets for navigating norms. Queer and kin. Launch gala glittered. Margaret toasting tearfully. To my brother's bravest bet. Media frenzy framed them folk heroes. Headlines healing. From final days to forever families. April's azure affirmed arcs. Spring's surge symbolic. Evan proposed expansions, Harlan houses nationwide. Havens hewn from heartache. Girls greenlit. Grants gushing. May's milestones marked maturity. Mia's graduation. Valedictorian vow. Dad Jack coded courage. We compile it. Lila's Louvre letter. Sophia's signing soiree. Nora's national tour. June's Jubilee circled closure. Pride's pinnacle. They marched en masse. Banner blazing. Adopted by love. Amplified by loss. Evan led. Arm laced with the curator, now partner. Parker. Poet with patience. Girls flanked. Floats honoring Jack. Holographic hacks. Puppet parades. Verse vans. Chant crescendoed. Promise kept. For that was the pivot, the last promise. Whispered in Jack's waning watch. As Coma claimed. He'd rallied raspy. When I'm. Echo. Promise you'll thrive. Not for me, for the mess we mended. Change it all, the systems, the silences, the solos. I's earnest. They'd echoed. We promise. That. Epic edits. And they did. Mia's laws rewrote red tape. Thousands adopted overnight. Lila's arts ignited inner cities. Colors combating closets. Sophia's words wounded walls. Poetry parliaments for the pushed aside. Nora's narratives normalized nests. Puppets pulling policy. Evan's edifices endured. Structures sheltering souls adrift. The change cascaded. Headlines heralded Harlan Wave. A ripple revolutionizing reform. Foster funds quadrupled. Queer adoptions soared. Legacies like Jack's lighting lanes. Evan watched from keynotes. Parker's hand in his. Girls orbiting orbits expanding. He changed everything, he'd say. Voice velvet victory. But we amplified. Years layered. But the loft lingered landmark. Now museum annex. Tours tracing treads of transformation. Annual anniversaries assembled them. Toasts to the tycoon who traded treasures for tribe. The gay giant who gambled on girls and won worlds. Evan, graying graceful, remarried under Brooklyn Bridge. Parker vowing to the blueprint and beyond. Girls walked him. Mia matron of honor, mic in hand. Vows voiced Jack's verse. Rings recycled from his. Decades dawned. Daughters dispersing. Mia mayor. Lila Louvre laureate. Sophia senator. Nora Oscar oracle. Grandkids gambled. Glitches grand. Evan's epilogue etched eternal. At 80. Terrace twilight. Skyline sibling to stars. You did it, babe, he'd murmur to winds. Promise perfected. And in the hush. A laugh, rusty. Real echoed back. Changed everything. Indeed.